How did post-apocalyptic survivors Joel and Ellie go from this
We've been down here 2 seconds. We don't know anything.
Dad's kind of a pessimist.
I'm
Not
not
my
her dad.
to this? Well, you're gonna find out soon enough. That's right, today we're covering the entire story of HBO's rendition of The Last of Us. So far, this is one of my all-time favorite stories, and I love talking about it, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. And before I go too far into this, I want to tell you that there's a surprise announcement at the very end of this video, and I think you should stay until the end for that. I think you're gonna like it very much. Alright, now let's get in. The Last of Us is a post-apocalyptic drama series based on the video game franchise created by Naughty Dog and directed by Neil Druckmann. Like the game it's based on, the series follows two main characters, Joel and Ellie, as they travel across the United States in hopes of using Ellie's immunity to develop a cure for the cordyceps fungal infection, which has been turning people into terrifying monsters for 20 years. Joel Miller is a hardened 56-year-old survivor who lost his daughter, Sarah, in the early days of the cordyceps outbreak. He's been doing this crap for a long time, and his age is definitely starting to show. Like many other dads, he pretends he doesn't have feelings or like jokes, but he definitely has a lot of feelings and absolutely loves jokes. Ellie Williams is a 14-year-old that was born a few years after the cordyceps outbreak occurred. She's tough, funny, smart, stubborn, and a heck of a lot like Joel. For some reason, she's immune to cordyceps bites, and may be the key to developing a vaccine. That should be all you need to know before we get into the series. So let's get started. The first episode of this series is titled When You're Lost in the Darkness. It opens with a talk show in 1968 where two epidemiologists are being interviewed. Dr. Newman argues that if the planet were to just get a few degrees warmer, a species of fungi could evolve to survive in humans. For instance, cordyceps could infect a human brain the same way it does to ants, brainwashing their hosts into attacking its own species.
So if that happens,
we lose.
Anyway, it's 2003 in Austin, Texas, on Joel's 36th birthday. Joel, his 14-year-old daughter Sarah, and his younger brother Tommy are sitting down for breakfast. Joel is a busy single dad and forgot to buy pancake mix, but he promises Sarah that he'll be back early that night with a cake. Before Sarah leaves for school, she swipes her dad's broken watch from his room so she can fix it for his birthday. Joel returns home way later than planned, and he forgot the cake too. Sarah gives him the fixed-up watch before passing out while they're watching a movie. Sarah wakes up a few hours later and sees an emergency alert on the TV.
Law enforcement and emergency services are in the area.
And her dad is gone. She heads next door to find the neighbor's bloody body being eaten by what used to be a sweet old lady, but now it's a terrifying creature with tendrils leaking out of its mouth. Sarah runs outside. Tommy and Joel put up in their pickup truck just in time to save her and kill the old lady. As they cut through town, debris from a crashing airplane flies through the window of the pickup. They crash, the truck is overturned, and Sarah's ankle is broken. Joel carries her out of the chaos, but they're stopped by a soldier who's ordered to kill them both. I mean, after all, dead people can't spread infection. Tommy takes down the soldier, but Sarah already has been shot. Tragically, she dies in Joel's arms. Worst birthday ever. We flash forward again to 2023. Joel is living in a military quarantine zone, or QZ, in Boston, Massachusetts, which is managed by the Federal Disaster Response Agency, aka Fedra. Joel has lost contact with Tommy. Last he heard, he was in Wyoming. Joel and his partner Tess are smugglers of illegal contraband, and currently they're looking for a truck battery so they can go on a road trip to find Tommy. Tess purchased a truck battery from a guy named Robert, but he double-crossed her and sold it to the resistance group, known as the Fireflies. Meanwhile, we meet a young orphaned girl named Ellie, who's being held by the Fireflies and their leader, Marlene. Things aren't going so great for the Fireflies. Fighting a military dictatorship to restore democracy is a lot harder than it sounds. So they're planning to evacuate the QZ and head to a Firefly base out west with Ellie. Being a teenager is hard enough, Marlene, so I hope you don't need any big favors from her. Later, Joel and Tess find Robert and the Fireflies, but before Joel and Tess got there, Robert tried to sell the Fireflies a dead truck battery. This caused a shootout, and now a bunch of them are dead, including Robert, that traitorous bastard. Marlene got shot in the side, and sure ain't taking Ellie anywhere anytime soon. And Fedra is going to be there any minute to investigate the gunshots. Ellie already hates Joel, probably because he pointed a gun at her face and took her knife. Marlene begs Joel and Tess to transport Ellie out of the QZ to the Massachusetts State House, promising them supplies and a working truck. Ellie must be pretty damn important. Joel and Tess agree to take her, and Ellie swipes her knife back while Joel isn't looking. Hell yeah, that's my girl. That night, Joel, Tess, and Ellie are escaping the city when they're caught by a Fedra officer. He tests them all for infection. Ellie, the little badass badass that she is, stabs the guy in the leg. He's about to shoot Ellie when Joel has a flashback to Sarah's death. Instinctively, he takes the soldier and beats him to death with his bare hands. Tess looks at the testing device and sees that Ellie is infected. Panicked, Ellie swears that her bite mark is 3 weeks old. There's no time to discuss, so they just cross the border outside of the QZ. Boy, howdy. The next episode is titled Infected and begins in Jakarta, Indonesia in 2003. The military treks down a mycology professor named Ratna to examine the corpse of a woman who worked in a flour and grain factory. The corpse has a human bite mark on her leg and was attacking people. Ratna identifies the fungus as cordyceps. She's petrified to hear that there are 14 workers missing from the facility, and at least 3 people were bitten. The general begs her for a cure to stop the infection, but Ratna tells him that there's no containing it.
Bom, mulailah pengoboman.
Probably not the answer he wanted. Back to the present day, Ellie tells Joel and Tess that she's immune to cordyceps infection, and Marlene told her that there's a Firefly base out west with doctors working on a vaccine. Joel thinks this is a load of BS, but delivering Ellie means they get a car, and a car means they can find Tommy, so it looks like he and Tess are going on a side quest. The three make their way toward the State House, cutting through a hotel and a museum to avoid a pack of infected. Tess tells Ellie that the infected are connected by tendrils, which grow underground. Step on a patch of cordyceps and you can attract dozens of others from miles away. And Ellie isn't immune from being torn apart. Oh damn, okay, hear me out. That would have been so cool to play out in the video game, like in my humble opinion. In the museum, Joel and Tess are alarmed to see a fresh dead body and tell Ellie to be completely silent. A section of the roof caves in, attracting a pair of clickers, a blind type of infected that sees using echolocation. Kinda like how bats see in the dark if bats were human-shaped and had massive fungal growths coming out of their head. Tess and Joel manage to kill the clickers, but not before Ellie gets bit. Boy howdy, it's a good thing she's immune. The trio arrives at the State House to find that the Fireflies were attacked and killed by the infected. Tess frantically looks around for clues as to where the base out west might be. Joel tells her that it's over and they need to go home. Tess is like, yeah dude, I'm not going anywhere, saying that she was bit at a museum too, and her bite looks much worse than Ellie's, which has already healed, proving her immunity. Tess tells Joel to take Ellie to their smuggling partners, Bill and Frank, who can get her to the Fireflies and save the world.
You get her there. You keep her alive.
Joel shoots a living infected, the tendrils wrap around one of the dead Fireflies, and a pack is now headed their way. Tess uses gasoline and grenades to blow up the building and the horde as Joel and Ellie leave. The next episode is titled Long, Long Time, and it's probably the most heart-wrenching thing I've seen on television, so grab your tissues. Joel and Ellie are in the woods, and he's pretty pissed off. Joel is silently blaming Ellie for Tess's death. She shuts that crap right down, saying that no one made him go along with this whole thing. Ellie pesters him with questions while they make their way to Bill and Frank's. She also asks him for a gun, like 1,000 times, and Joel tells her no about 1,000 times.
You know, seeing as it's just the two of us, I was thinking I should
No.
We flash back to 2003 to learn more about Bill and Frank. Ron Swanson, Bill, was a doomsday prepper in a town called Lincoln. When the outbreak hit and the military came a-knockin', Bill was hiding in his bunker with like 5 million guns and all the supplies he needed to survive the apocalypse.
Not today, you New World Order jackboot.
He might have seemed nuts, but now he's got the whole town entirely to himself. 4 years later, a handsome man named Frank fell into one of his traps, and Frank begs him for food, and Bill, who's normally antisocial, was feeling kinda generous. He lets Frank shower and makes him an incredible meal, complete with a wine. But before Frank leaves, he wants to hear the piano. He pounds away at the keys to deliver an out-of-tune rendition of Long, Long Time by Linda Ronstadt. Bill makes him stop, so Frank motions for him to play instead.
That's what someone told me.
Frank is moved and asks who's the girl he's singing about. Bill says there is no girl. Frank moves in to kiss him, and this was the beginning of Bill and Frank's relationship. 3 years later, Frank and Bill are fighting. Frank wants to repaint the town and make new friends, but Bill's like, there are no friends. Everyone else is dead. But he wants to make Frank happy, so he relents. Frank meets a nice lady on the radio who turns out to be Tess, and invites her and Joel over for dinner. Joel and Bill bond over their mutual distrust and hatred for everyone that isn't their significant other. Though reluctant, Joel convinces Bill to do business together. In 2013, Frank has a surprise for Bill: strawberries. Frank is younger than Bill and does a lot to keep them both healthy.
Getting older faster than you.
I like you older.
Late one night, raiders attack. Bill's traps hold, and the raiders are killed, but he's hit in the side with a bullet. Frank saves his life. We flash forward again to 2023. Frank's health is in a serious decline, and he's confined to a wheelchair. Bill's been taking care of Frank in their home for quite some time, giving him his medicine, cutting up his food, and even watering the flowers. One morning, Frank tells Bill that it's his last day, and he's ready to die. Frank says he wants just one more good day. They can get dressed up, have a fabulous dinner, and get married. Frank instructs Bill to crush up his sleeping pills and put them into his wine so he can be carried to bed, where he'll fall asleep in Bill's arms for the last time. Bill starts crying and says he can't do it.
I can't.
They have the evening exactly as Frank requested. They get married by the piano, and Bill recreates the first meal they had together. Frank drinks his poisoned wine, and Bill finishes his glass as well. Bill then tells Frank that he spiked his own drink too because he doesn't want to live if it means living without him.
This isn't the tragic suicide. I'm old. I'm satisfied.
They go to bed and fall asleep together, bringing an end to the love story of these two beautiful souls. Damn, this episode definitely messed me up. But there's very little time to mourn because we're back to Joel and Ellie. There's a letter addressed to whomever, but probably Joel, on the dining room table. Ellie opens it and reads it to Joel, and they find out what happened.
So I'm gonna tell you something because you're probably the only person who'll understand.
Bill gives a lot of his stuff to Joel, including his working pickup truck, telling him to use it to keep Tess safe. Joel doesn't have a damn clue what to do, but he knows that he failed to protect Tess and that her dying wish was to get Ellie to the Fireflies. Joel tells Ellie he'll take her to his brother in Wyoming. Tommy apparently used to be a Firefly, and he might know where to go. When Joel isn't looking, Ellie steals a pistol and stows it away in her backpack. They get in the pickup truck, Ellie pops in a tape, and they listen to Long, Long Time as they drive off. The next episode is titled Please Hold to My Hand. Ellie and Joel are on their cross-country road trip to Wyoming. Ellie tries to bond with Joel by reading him jokes from her book of bad puns, but Joel doesn't want to bond and refuses to laugh.
And then it dawned on me.
Feel free to wait in the truck.
Get it? Big guy, infected are scary, but feelings are scarier. Joel tells Ellie not to trust anyone they meet, and he stays awake all through the night while she sleeps. A few days later, Joel and Ellie arrive in Kansas City, Missouri. A man begs for help, but Joel recognizes this as a trap, and they drive over a spike strip, slashing the tires. The truck careens into a laundromat, and several men begin shooting at them, and Joel kills 2 men with his rifle, but a third guy named Brian sneaks up on him from behind and begins to choke him. Ellie pulls out the stolen pistol from her bag and shoots Brian in the back, paralyzing him. Whoa, nice shot. Joel takes Ellie's gun and sends her away so he can finish the guy off. They escape shortly before other bandits find the bodies. The bandits are a part of a rebel group that overthrew Fedra, and they're led by a soft-spoken yet ruthless woman named Kathleen, who is trying to find a guy named Henry. Henry ratted out her brother to Fedra, leading to his execution. Kathleen orders soldiers to conduct a citywide manhunt to find and kill Henry and anyone else who collaborated with Fedra. Joel and Ellie hide in an abandoned building. Joel tries to apologize for what happened to Brian. He's partially deaf in one ear, and Joel didn't hear him coming.
I mean, it was my fault, and I'm sorry.
Ellie quickly wipes away her tears and says that it wasn't her first time hurting someone like that, actually. Joel gives her the pistol back and shows her how to properly hold it, and tells her not to shoot her damn ass off. Aw, now they're bonding. Meanwhile, Kathleen's second-in-command, Perry, tells her that they have bigger fish to fry than Henry. There's something moving underground. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that it's a crap ton of infected. Perry's like, okay, so we're gonna handle this, right? And Kathleen's like, oh, no, we're not gonna do jack until we finish my revenge mission. Seems dumb, but whatever, Kathleen. Soon, Joel and Ellie break into a high-rise building to rest for the night. Joel asks if she wants to talk about the person she hurt before Brian. Ellie says that she doesn't, but she does have a really important question for him.
Did you know diarrhea is hereditary?
What?
It runs in your genes.
Ellie finally got Joel to laugh. Sometime later, Joel is abruptly woken up by Ellie. There's 2 young men holding them at gunpoint. Next up is an episode titled Endure and Survive. It begins a few days prior, right after Kansas City was liberated by the rebels. A man named Henry and his deaf younger brother Sam are hiding from Kathleen and her militia. Kathleen is terrifying with a school teacher who is disappointed in you vibe. The informants tell her what she wants to hear, and Kathleen says, as a reward, they will be put on trial.
Are we really putting them on trial?
No.
While hiding, Henry sees Joel take down the bandits and tracks him and Ellie to the high-rise. Henry tells Joel that he knows how to escape the city, but he needs Joel's protection. Joel's kinda hesitant, but he agrees when he sees that Ellie and Sam are becoming friends. Henry says that if they go through the underground tunnels, they can avoid Kathleen's men. Joel, Henry, Sam, and Ellie post up underground for a while. Sam teaches Ellie some American Sign Language, and they even find out that they like the same comic books.
No way! I love these!
Henry tells Joel that he ratted out Kathleen's brother to Fedra in order to get leukemia medicine for Sam. Meanwhile, Kathleen tells Perry a story about her brother Michael, who was the leader of the Kansas City resistance movement before his execution. Michael was a kind, compassionate, and forgiving leader. He made people feel safe, and Kathleen admits that she isn't like that, and she doesn't forgive Henry for turning in Michael. Perry says that as amazing as Michael was, it was Kathleen's ruthlessness that liberated the city. Late that night, Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam leave the tunnels, and they're soon chased down by Kathleen's militia. Joel, sneaky like a ninja, makes his way through the cul-de-sac and takes out a sniper. He then makes an incredible shot, killing the driver of an armored truck. The truck crashes into a nearby house and explodes. Kathleen politely asks Henry to turn himself in to be killed. Henry surrenders, telling Ellie and Sam to make a break for it, but the truck sinks into the ground. And that's why you always do housekeeping before you go on a revenge mission. Henry and Sam are attacked by a pair of clickers, but Ellie stabs them with her knife and helps her friends escape. Kathleen still tries to kill Henry, but she's mauled to death by a child clicker. Ellie, Sam, and Henry reunite with Joel and get the hell out of there. Looks like Kansas City is free. If you're an infected, that is. Our heroes hole up in a motel for the evening. Before they go to bed, Sam reveals to Ellie that he was bit during the attack. Ellie tells Sam that she's immune and believes that her blood can cure him, but by the next morning, Sam has turned and he attacks Ellie. It's actually quite heartbreaking to watch. Henry instinctively kills his little brother, and he's horrified with himself. Joel and Ellie bury Sam and Henry's bodies, and before they leave, Ellie leaves a note on Sam's grave that reads, "I'm sorry." In the next episode titled Kin, it is now the dead of winter in Wyoming. Joel and Ellie are surrounded by a group riding on horseback, led by a woman named Maria. Joel says they're just passing through the area while they're looking for his brother. Maria's like, "I know a guy with a brother," and brings Joel and Ellie to their community called Jackson. Joel reunites with Tommy. The community provides Joel and Ellie with food, clothes, and a place to stay. Tommy tells Joel that Maria is his wife, and Joel is pretty cold towards him about it. Joel and Ellie are given a tour of Jackson, which is a lovely place, honestly, complete with electricity, bacon, and Christmas trees. Tommy takes Joel to a bar for a moment alone. Joel lies about Tess and about Ellie, saying she's a Firefly bigwig's daughter. Tommy tells Joel that the Fireflies are probably at the University of Eastern Colorado. Joel asks Tommy to tag along to drop off Ellie, but Tommy's like, "Nah, sorry, I've moved on with my life and I have a baby on the way." Joel is pretty pissed about this and won't even congratulate him.
Just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it has to stop for me.
Joel storms out and he hears families singing Christmas carols and has a panic attack. And for a fraction of a second, he sees a woman who looks like Sarah. Over at Maria's house, Maria cuts Ellie's hair and they get to know each other. There's a memorial on her mantle to Sarah and Maria's son, Kevin.
I'm sorry about your kids.
Just Kevin. Sarah was Joel's daughter.
Ellie didn't even know Joel had a daughter and tries to play it off. She really doesn't trust Maria. Maria's like, "Good, you shouldn't trust me, and you might not want to trust Joel either." Late that night, Joel confides in Tommy about Ellie's immunity and begs him to bring Ellie to Colorado by himself. Joel says that he's terrified to fail Ellie. He's not the terrifying, emotionless killing machine that the apocalypse has morphed him into. Being with Ellie has changed him, like Bill with Frank. Joel was never afraid of dying until Ellie showed up, but Ellie hears Tommy agree to take her off Joel's hands. Later, Joel finds Ellie to deliver the news. Ellie tells Joel she found out about Sarah, and she says that everyone she has ever cared for has died or left her. Everyone besides Joel. She doesn't want to do this with anyone else because she would just be more scared.
I would just be more scared.
By the next morning, Joel has had a change of heart, and Joel tries to say she has a choice, but Ellie's like, "Shut up, let's go." Joel and Ellie hop on a horse and head south. Tommy tells them that there's a place for them in Jackson when they return. On their journey, Joel teaches Ellie how to hunt, and tells her stories about his life before the outbreak.
That's pretty cool.
We were cool. Everybody loved contractors.
Overstatement of the century, Joel. When Ellie and Joel arrive at the university, they find that the Fireflies have already vacated, leaving behind a map leading to a hospital in Salt Lake City, Utah. They tried to sneak out after seeing a group of raiders. Joel kills one, but gets stabbed in the side by a sharpened baseball bat. Ouch! Joel and Ellie manage to escape, but Joel falls off the horse and goes unconscious. In this episode titled Left Behind, Ellie has brought Joel to an abandoned house to tend to his wound. Joel tells her to leave to go back to Tommy's without him. In a flashback, we learn about Ellie's life in Boston before she was bit. Ellie grew up in Fedra school, and turns out being raised to become a fascist soldier kinda sucks. She has one close friend, a girl named Riley who's been missing for weeks. Ellie gets into a fight and a Fedra officer tells her that she could become an officer one day, so she should really start following the rules. Late that night, Riley sneaks into Ellie's room and wakes her up. Riley tells her best friend that she was recruited to join the Fireflies, and now she has something super cool to show her.
Where are we going?
Secret. Trust me.
They sneak out and Riley brings Ellie to an abandoned mall.
Tonight I'm gonna show you the 4 wonders of the mall.
Riley shows Ellie an escalator and working carousel. Riley takes Ellie to an arcade and busts open a change machine so they can play games, including Mortal Kombat 2. Riley gives Ellie a new pun book as a gift. While they're joking, Ellie sees Riley's bed and a pile of homemade bombs. Riley tells Ellie that the Fireflies are moving her to Atlanta, and she brought her to the mall to say goodbye. Riley wanted to bring Ellie, but Marlene, who recruited Riley, said no. Ellie storms off, but returns and finds Riley in a Halloween store. Ellie gives Riley her blessing to go to Atlanta, but she's heartbroken. Riley throws on some music and they dance. Ellie changes her mind and pleads for Riley to not leave her. Riley finally says she'll stay. Ellie is so moved that she kisses Riley. They laugh, but an infected is drawn to the noise and attacks them. Riley shoots, but misses. Ellie manages to kill it with her knife, but they've both been bit. Riley suggests they let themselves turn, and they can be all poetic and lose their minds together, however much time they have left. Back in the present, Ellie remembers what Riley said, and knows she can't leave Joel. She frantically searches the house for a needle and thread, and sews up Joel's wound. The next episode is titled, When We Are in Need. Joel's wound ain't looking so good. He probably needs antibiotics, and they both need food. Ellie snags Joel's rifle to go hunting and sees a buck. She shoots, and she scores. Now, Ellie, how the hell are you gonna drag a huge buck back to Joel? Ellie follows the trail of blood and meets 2 men named David and James. Fun fact, the guy who plays James is named Troy Baker, and he played Joel in the video game. Anyway, Ellie makes a deal with David to trade half the deer in exchange for penicillin. While James gets the medicine, David and Ellie make a fire. Ellie is pointing the rifle at him. Don't worry. David tells Ellie that he's a preacher, and he believes that everything happens for a reason. He says that some of his friends were recently killed by a crazy man, one who was traveling with a little girl.
He was murdered by this crazy man.
Oh no. I know who the crazy man is. James returns with the medicine, and Ellie runs off to administer it to Joel. The next morning, Ellie sees David and his group nearby, looking for her. She's soon captured, but not killed. On David's orders. Weird. One of David's men enters the basement where Joel is, just as he regains consciousness. With 1 HP left, Joel stabs the guy, killing him, and he captures 2 more of David's men and viciously beats them. Joel starts torturing one of them and tells him to point out on a map where Ellie is, and his intel better match his buddies. The man does as he's told, but Joel kills him anyway. Bro has 0 chill. Then Joel approaches the other guy. Can't you go any faster, Joel?
I ain't telling you shit.
It's okay.
No.
I believe him.
No.
Ellie wakes up in a cage and sees a human ear on the butcher's table. David returns with food, and Ellie's like, I'm not eating that. David tries giving Ellie a flattering motivational speech, saying she's smart, loyal, and even a bit violent, just like he is. David tells Ellie that when the world ended, Cordyceps enlightened him with the way it uses violence to survive.
It secures its future with violence if it must.
He tries to groom Ellie, saying she's special and they could lead together. Yeah, right. David puts his hand on hers, and Ellie breaks his finger. Hell yeah, got his ass. Well, hand. Nearby, Joel is trekking through the storm, searching for Ellie. He enters a slaughterhouse and sees human bodies hanging upside down to prepare for butchering. Yep, these guys are cannibals. Back in the kitchen, David and James prepare to kill Ellie, but she screams that she's infected and that she just bit David. James and David hesitate, and Ellie slashes James's throat with the meat cleaver. While David hunts her down, Ellie throws a piece of kindling at him, setting fire to the steakhouse. David tells Ellie that he has no plans to kill her. Instead, he wants to teach teach her a lesson. Ellie finds a knife and sneaks up behind David, stabbing him. But he overpowers her and tries to violate her. Ellie manages to reach the meat cleaver and furiously attacks David, unleashing all of her pain. Ellie walks outside, shell-shocked. Joel catches up and grabs her, and she screams until she sees who it is.
It's okay. Okay.
Damn it, this is a very sad show. The final episode of Season 1 is titled Look for the Light, and it's an answer to the first episode, which is titled When You're Lost in the Darkness. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, this episode opens with a flashback. An extremely pregnant woman named Anna is running from an infected. Oh, and the actress is Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the video game. Neat. Anna runs into an empty house and barricades the door. Terrible timing to go into labor, am I right? While Anna pushes out the baby, the infected bursts into the room, and Anna stabs and kills it while she gives birth to, you guessed it, Ellie. After Anna realizes that she was bitten, she cuts the umbilical cord. Sometime later, Marlene and a few other Fireflies arrive at the house and see Anna holding her baby with the dead infected next to her. Anna swears she cut the cord before she was bit, but Marlene doesn't believe her, and she doesn't really want to kill a baby, so she accepts this as true. Marlene takes Ellie and then kills Anna before she turns. Back in the present, Ellie and Joel have arrived in Salt Lake City. Ellie is really out of it. Makes sense though, considering what she just went through. Joel keeps trying to cheer her up with Chef Boyardee and board games. He even promises to teach her how to play the guitar when they're back in Jackson. While climbing through a building, Ellie sees a giraffe. Joel helps Ellie feed it, and they follow it to its herd.
Is it everything you hoped for?
Got its ups and downs. You can't deny that view.
As they watch the giraffes, Joel tells Ellie that she doesn't have to do this. Like, why is it on her to save the entire world, you know? Ellie says that after all they've been through, it can't be for nothing. Ellie promises that when they're done, she'll follow him anywhere he goes. Joel finally opens up to Ellie and tells her that he attempted suicide after Sarah died, but for some reason he flinched when he pulled the trigger.
So time heals all wounds, I guess.
It wasn't time that did it.
To cut the tension, Joel asks Ellie to read from her joke book. No, but the sweet moment doesn't last very long, as they're ambushed by Fireflies and knocked unconscious. Joel wakes up in St. Mary's Hospital with Marlene, who tells him that Ellie is being prepared for surgery. The Firefly doctor plans to remove the cordyceps from Ellie, multiply the cells in a lab, and create a cure for all mankind.
Cordyceps grows inside the brain.
And in order to create this cure, Ellie will have to die. Marlene instructs her soldiers to escort Joel out of the city, but Joel simply cannot go through the pain of losing his daughter a second time. He kills every single Firefly in the building. Joel was given the choice between Ellie and the rest of the world, and his answer is, to hell with the world. Joel enters the operating room and tells the surgeon to unhook Ellie. When he doesn't comply, Joel shoots the man without a second thought. Joel takes Ellie to the parking garage where he's stopped by Marlene. Joel shoots her mercilessly, and Marlene begs him to let her go. Joel states that he knows she would just come after Ellie. He shoots again, killing Marlene. When Ellie regains consciousness, Joel is driving them back to Jackson, and Ellie's like, what the F just happened? And Joel tells her that there's lots of immune people, but it's done no good. They've stopped looking for a cure. Joel and Ellie finish their trip to Jackson on foot. Before they arrive, Ellie tells Joel what happened to Riley. Between Riley, Tess, Sam, and everything else, Ellie is struggling with survivor's guilt. Joel does his best to convince her that none of that is on her, but Ellie cuts him off.
Swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
And then he lied to her? Oh my hell, are you kidding me? Like, what the what? After that infuriating and devastating season finale, we're on to season 2, episode 1, titled Future Days. Back in Salt Lake City, the surviving Fireflies are burying their dead after Joel's violent rampage. One of the survivors, a girl named Abby, wants to kill the man who did this. We jump back to Jackson 5 years later in 2028, and we meet a few of Ellie's friends, including a guy named Jesse, and a really pretty girl named Dina. Dina and Jesse have had an on and off relationship for years. Ellie and Joel's relationship seems to be on the rocks. Dina asks Joel why Ellie is mad at him, so something must have happened recently. Joel brushes it off as normal teenager stuff.
I can't hold myself responsible for another person's emotional state.
Are you in therapy?
Good for you, Joel. Joel heads to therapy. I just got out of a session myself, big guy. The town psychotherapist, Gail, is also mad at Joel. She must be going through something, because she accuses Joel of lying to her, which therapists kinda don't usually do.
You killed Eugene.
and I resent you for it.
Damn it, Joel, you can't just run around killing people. Sounds like Gail's husband, Eugene, was infected or something, but Gail says she's mad about how he did it. Okay, Gail continues the session and tells Joel to say whatever it is that he's afraid to say. What did he do to Ellie? Joel stands up, ending the session early, but before he leaves, he replies, "I saved her." Dina swings by Ellie's place to pick her up for their patrol run. And you know, Ellie is a lot of things, but subtle is not one of them. She totally has a crush on Dina, and Dina asks Ellie to go with her to the New Year's Eve dance that night. She and Jesse just broke up again.
It'll be fun. Aren't you and Jesse?
No, broke up.
Dina and Ellie enter a supermarket to take out some infected. One of them seems different than the others. It seems to be smart and sneaks around to hunt down Ellie. These terrifying things are called stalkers. The stalker bites Ellie, but she's fine, as we know. No one else in town knows that Ellie is immune, though.
You okay?
Yeah.
At the community New Year's Eve party, Ellie hangs back watching Dina dance. Ellie teases Jesse, saying that they'll be back together in 2 weeks, tops. Dina pulls Ellie to the dance floor, and a slow romantic song comes on. Ellie is a little drunk, and Dina is pretty high. Ellie says that every guy in the room is staring at her right now. Dina says that maybe they're staring at Ellie.
I think they should be terrified of you.
Dina kisses Ellie, to her shock. They make out, and then this huge asshole named Seth says that this is a family event and calls them a homophobic slur. Joel hears this and shoves Seth to the ground. Hell yeah, Joel, thank you. This kills the vibe of the whole event, and now everyone's staring. And Ellie's like, I don't need your help, Joel, you're being a psycho. Joel looks ashamed. Don't listen to her, man. Soon after, Ellie walks home alone. She sees Joel strumming his guitar on the porch, but doesn't talk to him. As the episode ends, we see that the infected tendrils have infiltrated the town pipes, and Abby and her friends are approaching Jackson. This next episode is titled Through the Valley. Abby wakes up with the rest of her friends in an abandoned ski lodge just outside of Jackson. A huge storm is brewing, and none of them thought that Jackson would be that big. But Abby is determined to find Joel and leaves the others to scout it out. Meanwhile in Jackson, Ellie wakes up to Jesse pounding at the door. She's late for her patrol. Jesse's like, wow, big night last night, huh? Ellie apologizes, saying that Dina's kiss didn't mean anything and she was just drunk.
It didn't mean anything. She was probably just trying to make you jealous. I wouldn't do that.
I'm screwing with you, man. I already know.
But Jesse is a cool guy, and he really doesn't care. Joel has already left for patrol with Dina, so Jesse and Ellie are paired up. Sometime later, Tommy calls all of the patrols back because the storm is getting really nasty. On the mountain, Abby tries to catch up with a pair riding on horseback, but slips and slides down the side of a snowy hill. Whoa! When she lands, a massive horde of infected erupts out of the snow and begins to chase her. Thanks, Abby. Huge help. By a miracle, Abby is rescued by Joel. Of all people, Abby suggests to Joel and Dina that they head back up to the lodge and meet her friends, who can help them fight. Do not do it, guys. Don't go. Do not, for whatever... No matter what they say they got, whether they got cookies or drugs or a warm cup of cocoa, don't do it. Jesse and Ellie hear that Joel and Dina haven't returned to Jackson, so they brave the storm to find them. Back in town, the infected tendrils are discovered in the pipes, and now the horde is headed their way, and fast. Jackson shores up their defenses with Tommy at the helm. A giant infected called a bloater arrives at the gates and busts down the wall. The infected almost immediately flood the streets. Tommy finishes off the bloater with a flamethrower, just barely. That's happened to me in the game before, and it is so stressful. Abby, Dina, and Joel make it back to the ski lodge, and Abby's like, lol guys, look at who I just found. They knock out Dina with meds, and Abby tells Joel that they're former Fireflies, and shoots his kneecap with a shotgun. She tells Joel that the unnamed Firefly surgeon in Salt Lake City he killed was her father, and she spent the last 5 years in a Seattle militia waiting for this moment. Joel tells her to shut the F up and kill him already, and Abby grabs a golf club.
You don't get to rush this.
Ellie tracks Dina and Joel down to the ski lodge. Unfortunately, Ellie was unable to hear me when I screamed at my screen telling her to turn around. Abby slowly tortures Joel, beating him with the club until it breaks, and then continues to beat him with her fists. Ellie enters and is immediately pinned to the ground. Abby's friend Owen tells her to end it. Abby stabs Joel in the neck with a broken golf club, finishing him off as Ellie screams, "You're all gonna die!" They let Ellie live. After Abby's group leaves, she crawls to Joel's lifeless body and lays next to him, holding his hand. Damn it, look at how they massacred my man. Jackson has suffered heavy damage and casualties. Many citizens have been bit and have to be put down. Several buildings are destroyed and many others are up in flames. Jesse finds Dina and Ellie at the ski lodge and brings them back to Jackson, Joel's body in tow. I'll miss the guy for sure. The next is an episode titled The Path. Ellie's in the hospital with a ton of survivors from the attack. She wakes up and starts screaming and having flashbacks to Joel's death. 3 months later, the town is hard at work repairing the walls and rebuilding the fixtures of Jackson. Ellie is still in the hospital and has just been told she's physically well enough to leave. But first, she's got to check in with Gail.
Oh, sake.
Ellie's like, nah, dude, I'm totally good. My feelings are perfectly healthy. Now go away. Gail doesn't believe her, but says she's free to leave. Ellie returns to Joel's house for the first time since he died. Tommy has left a box on Joel's bed for Ellie, containing Joel's watch and his revolver. In his closet, she smells his coat and begins to cry, but pulls herself together the second she hears Dina downstairs. Dina tells Ellie that she has some information on the group that killed Joel. They're members of a group called the Washington Liberation Front, or WLF, and they're based in Seattle. She also knows most of their names. Ellie and Dina tell Tommy that they want to go to Seattle to bring the WLF to justice. Tommy tells them to take it to the town council. Democracy is a real ain't it? Ellie talks to Jesse, who is now a council person, and asks for his support. Jesse says, as a big important council member, he can't discuss upcoming votes, but suggests that she organize her thoughts and write them down.
Because you're angry, Ellie, and no one's gonna vote for angry.
At the council meeting, other citizens of Jackson are rightfully concerned that sending their best on a revenge mission will leave their town vulnerable. Besides, Joel isn't the only one who died on New Year's. And here's a plot twist for you. Remember that homophobic slur guy, Seth? He is majorly on Ellie's side, saying that if Jackson doesn't make this Seattle group pay, they will be back with a vengeance. Ellie says her piece, saying it's about getting justice for the town.
Please, do it for us.
Council votes, and Ellie loses in an 8-3 vote. In typical Ellie fashion, she starts packing her bags to head to Seattle alone. Dina knocks on her door and tells Ellie that she's not letting her go by herself, and she has a friend that will get them a horse and some supplies.
Don't tell me you told Jesse, please.
Captain Wyoming? No.
Damn, Jesse is no fun. Ellie and Dina meet up with Seth, who provides the supplies and helps them sneak out with the horse. Ellie takes a moment to grieve for Joel at his grave, but won't let her do so for long. Ellie and Dina hit the road, and they play a classic road trip game like name a band that starts with this letter, and who was the first person that you killed? I actually have never played that second one, nor do I hope to ever. While camping that first night, they finally talk about their kiss on New Year's Eve. They're both like, haha, yeah, it totally meant nothing to me either.
Go back to Jesse. Already did.
Well, there you have it.
Teenage love is the worst, but before they go to sleep, Dina says she wasn't actually that high. A few days later, Ellie and Dina arrive just outside of Seattle, and they find a bunch of dead bodies, all from the same group, including one of a little girl. Dina vomits. They continue on and reason that since they haven't seen the WLF yet, they must be a small group.
Because there aren't that many wolves.
The episode ends with a convoy of dozens upon dozens of WLF soldiers with tanks marching through the streets. The next episode is titled Day 1. It opens inside a Fedra truck 11 years earlier in 2018. Wait, hold on, is that Josh from Drake and Josh? Josh joined Fedra? Oh, that's messed up, dude. Anyway, in the Fedra truck, we meet a soldier named Isaac Dixon and his squad of violent, idiotic officers. They encounter a WLF group. Isaac gets out and then tosses a few grenades in the truck before locking the door, blasting the others to bits. He then pledges his allegiance to the WLF. Back in 2029, Ellie and Dina begin their first day exploring Seattle while they search for Abby.
What's up with all the rainbows?
I don't know. Maybe they were all optimists.
They spot a nearby TV station and decide to head there late at night. For now, they're gonna hang out in a music store. Upstairs, Ellie finds a guitar and starts singing Take On Me by Aha. Dina hears and wants her to continue. No, I'm not crying. I just have allergies. Now we interrupt your scheduled teenage love story to see what Isaac is up to. Isaac is now the leader of the WLF. He's torturing some poor bastard who he calls a Scar. Okay, Seraphite. The Seraphites are a religious group that the WLF is at war with. Since Isaac realizes that this guy would rather be tortured than betray his people, he shoots him dead. Good lord. Later, Ellie and Dina enter the TV station, where they see the bodies of the WLF soldiers strung up and disemboweled. Ellie realizes that the perpetrators are from the same group that was massacred in the woods.
That group we saw in the woods, they did this.
Ellie and Dina start to realize that maybe they've gotten themselves mixed up in a bad situation. They shoot through a window to escape and crawl into the subway station. The WLF soldiers chase them into the subway and accidentally attract a swarm of infected who make quick work of the soldiers. Dina and Ellie are almost out of the subway, and Dina's about to get bit, but Ellie blocks Dina, taking the hit herself since she's immune, and they somehow make it out alive and hide in an abandoned theater. They get inside, and Dina points her gun at Ellie, thinking she's about to turn. Ellie only has like a second and a half to explain.
I'm immune. I can't get infected.
I probably wouldn't believe Ellie either, honestly. Ellie says that she'll stay far away, and if she turns, Dina can shoot her. Once Ellie's proven that she's immune, Dina has her own confession. She's pregnant. The moment is so emotionally intense that Dina kisses Ellie, and they sleep together for the first time. The next morning, Ellie tells Dina that her tattoo is covering up a burn scar, which is covering up her original bite mark.
You said it was a burn.
Most of it is.
Dina tells Ellie that she never had real feelings for Jesse, but was scared to be with another girl, and she wants a future with Ellie. On the walkie-talkie, they pick up a radio signal and hear that Abby's friend, Nora, is at Lake Hill Hospital, so that's where they're heading next. The next episode is titled, Feel Her Love. It opens in Seattle's Lake Hill Hospital, where WLF officer Hanrahan questions Sergeant Elise Park, who just sealed a squadron in the basement. The squad leader, Leon, told Park that the fungus was airborne, and to seal the stairwell to prevent the spread. Hanrahan commends Park's decision and says to keep the whole thing on the DL. Meanwhile, Dina maps out a route to Lake Hill, suggesting they cut through a warehouse that the WLF seems to avoid.
Let's go be reckless.
On their way, they find more dead Seraphites, and it occurs to Ellie that this might be a suicide mission, and maybe Dina should go home. Dina wants to keep going since she relates to how Ellie feels. When she was a kid, she saw her mother and sister get murdered by some raider. Dina and Ellie enter the warehouse, which seems pretty empty, but remember the super creepy stalkers from earlier this season? There's like a dozen of them, and they ambush Dina and Ellie. Ellie sacrifices herself to give Dina some time to run, letting herself get scratched and bit to hell. They're both almost killed when they're saved by none other than Captain Wyoming, also known as Jesse. Jesse leads Dina and Ellie out of the warehouse and into the park. And boy, Jesse is pissed off. He and Tommy followed them to Seattle so Dina and Ellie wouldn't die. While hiding, they see the Seraphites string up and disembowel a WLF soldier. Suddenly, Dina is hit with an arrow. Ellie creates a diversion while Jesse carries Dina to safety. While she's running, Ellie realizes that the hospital is nearby. Instead of going back for Jesse and Dina, Ellie continues her revenge mission and sneaks inside. I guess the pregnant girlfriend thing is just a side quest. She sneaks into the hospital and finds Nora. Ellie points her gun at Nora and demands to know where Abby is. Nora's like, sorry you had to see it, but Joel's a little got what he deserved. Ice cold, Nora. Nora makes a run for it and tries to hide in an elevator shaft, but it drops her into the basement. Oh no. Ellie follows her down, and good thing she's immune, huh? On level B2, Ellie finds WLF soldiers growing into the wall and breathing out spores. Man, I bet his breath smells so bad. Somebody get this guy a Tic Tac. Nora is already choking on the air when Ellie finds her. Nora realizes that she's the immune girl. What a cruel twist of fate. Nora tells Ellie that Joel killed everyone in the hospital, including the only doctor who could possibly make a cure. A doctor who was Abby's father. Ellie's like, I don't care. I already knew that, dumbass. And she beats Nora with a pipe to get her to give up Abby. In a flashback, Ellie is safe and sound in Jackson when she's woken up by Joel. In the next episode titled The Price, it starts in 1983 where a young Joel and a young Tommy are living in fear of their abusive father, Javier. Javier tells Joel that he also lived in fear of his father as a kid, but tries to be better. He says that when Joel has kids of his own, he hopes that he can do a little bit better too. Fast forward to a few months after Joel and Ellie settled down in Jackson. It's Ellie's 15th birthday, and Joel surprises her with a birthday cake and a custom-made guitar. Ellie asks him to sing for her, and Joel's like, absolutely not. But Ellie's like, you gotta, dude, it's my freaking birthday. So Joel plays the song Future Days by Pearl Jam.
I believe.
And damn it, I'm crying again. 1 year later, it's Ellie's sweet 16 and Joel surprises her with a trip to an abandoned museum. Ellie loses her absolute bananas over the space exhibit, and they sit in the Apollo 15 module, where Joel has one more surprise, a tape recording of the Apollo 11 takeoff. Ellie imagines herself going to space, and it's just the perfect day.
I do okay?
Are you kidding me?
Another year later, and it's Ellie's 17th birthday. Joel goes into her room to bring her a cake and finds out that she's been smoking weed, getting a tattoo, and fooling around with another girl. They get into a fight, and Ellie decides to move her bed into the garage, and Joel concedes that she needs some more space and sets up the garage for her. 2 years later, on Ellie's 19th birthday, she starts having suspicions about what happened in Salt Lake City with the Fireflies. I mean, Joel didn't exactly write an airtight story. On Ellie's first patrol, she and Joel find Eugene, who has been bit by an infected. Eugene begs Joel to let him see Gale before he turns, and Ellie convinces Joel to agree to this, and he sends Ellie away for the horses. While she's gone, Joel kills Eugene. Joel and Ellie arrive back in Jackson with Eugene's body, and Joel tells a grief-stricken Gale that Eugene killed himself. Ellie tells Gale that this is a lie, and that Eugene begged to see her before he died. The experience makes Ellie realize that Joel lied about the Fireflies years earlier. 9 months later, on New Year's Eve, we see Joel shove Seth to the ground for berating Ellie and Dina. After the party, Ellie joins Joel on the porch, and Ellie tells Joel she had Seth under control. Joel tries to ask if Dina is Ellie's girlfriend, but Ellie brushes it off, saying she doesn't know why Dina kissed her.
Look, I don't know what Dina's intentions are, but well, she'd be lucky to have you.
Ellie calls Joel an asshole and demands to know the truth about what happened with the Fireflies. Through the years, Joel admits that he killed the Fireflies, including Marlene, to save Ellie's life, preventing them from ever finding a cure. Distraught, Ellie says that she was supposed to die in the hospital, and he was selfish to take that chance away from everyone. Joel says that if somehow he got another chance at that moment, he would do it all over again because he loves her. He says that he hopes one day Ellie can do better with her own children.
I don't think I can forgive you for this, but I would like to try.
And that was the last conversation that Ellie and Joel ever had. The final episode of season 2 is titled Convergence. Jesse and Dina are in the theater where he removes the arrow from her leg. Ellie arrives sometime later and talks to Dina alone. Dina cleans the wounds on Ellie's back. Nora wouldn't say much about Abby's whereabouts other than the words whale and wheel. Weird. Ellie's like, so funny story. Joel killed all the Fireflies to save my life, including Abby's dad. And that's why they came to Jackson. Also, I knew this before we left for Seattle, but I never told you. Dina is disturbed and says they need to go home. It's their third day in Seattle. Ellie and Jesse leave the theater to find Tommy. Before they leave, Dina gets Ellie a bracelet for good luck.
It's for good luck. Not sure it's been working for you.
Jesse is super mad at Ellie for dragging them into a war zone. He asks Ellie if Dina is pregnant, which Ellie confirms. Now Jesse's even more mad because he's got a baby on the way. Meanwhile, the WLF is at Costco. And it's not because it's a free sample day. A huge storm is coming and they need bulk umbrellas. I'm just kidding. Isaac wants to take the war to the Seraphite Island, but he can't find Abby, who he wants to lead the WLF, if and when he gets killed. Later, Ellie and Jesse take shelter from the rain in a bookstore. Ellie sees a shelf of kids' books and grabs one for the baby. Jesse tells Ellie that he's not in love with Dina. Definitely not like Ellie and Dina are in love with each other. He fell for a woman in a group passing through Jackson on their way to Mexico. He couldn't go with her because he didn't want to leave his community.
You can make fun of me all you want, but let me ask you this, Ellie. Who saves your ass in Seattle?
On the walkie-talkie, Jesse and Ellie hear that there's a sniper at the marina. Probably Tommy. They head up for a higher view and Ellie sees the aquarium, which has a whale mural and a Ferris wheel. Oh, so that's where Abby is. Ellie's like, okie dokie, time to go finish my revenge mission. But Jesse's like, are you insane? We gotta get to Tommy and go home. Jesse then admits that he didn't even vote for her proposition to send a team out to Seattle. And now Ellie is pissed. Jesse says it wasn't in the best interest of the community, but Ellie doesn't give a damn about that.
My community was beaten to death in front of me while I was forced to watch.
Jesse tells Ellie that he hopes she makes it back alive and leaves. Ellie hijacks a boat to take to the aquarium, but there's a huge-ass storm and she's bowled over by waves. She washes up on the Seraphite Island and is captured. She would have been disemboweled if it weren't for the WLF invasion. So, hooray for war, I guess. Ellie escapes the island and miraculously makes it to the aquarium. Inside, she finds Abby's friends, Owen and Mel. She holds them at gunpoint, demanding to know where Abby is. Owen tries to shoot her, but Ellie is too fast. She shoots, killing Owen and hitting Mel in the neck. Mel is pregnant and instructs Ellie to cut the baby out of her before she dies, but Ellie isn't skilled or calm enough to do this. Mel dies. Soon, Jesse and Tommy arrive at the scene and bring Ellie back to the theater. Later, Ellie thanks Jesse for coming to save her, and he tells Ellie that he knows she would have set the world on fire to save her friends, including him. They hear commotion and rush to the lobby. Jesse is fatally shot the second he walks through the door, and Abby's holding Tommy at gunpoint. Ellie surrenders with her hands up.
I let you live.
And a gunshot rings out. We cut to Abby in the WLF base. Her friend Manny wakes her up. Isaac has summoned them both. This is Abby's side of the story, 3 days earlier. And that was the entire story of HBO's The Last of Us so far. There's going to be at least one more season of the show, and man, I just love this universe and this story, so I can't wait to see how they adapt to the second half of the game. But if you don't want to wait, I'm finally going to tell you what that surprise is. We just launched the Jar Games channel, and one of our first videos is going to be the entire story of The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. So go over there and subscribe to that channel if you want to see what shenanigans Abby gets up to. And as usual, like, subscribe, comment, share, ring that bell, and do all those other awesome things you people do. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.